What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us this week on the newest episode of the Reseller Greatness Podcast. We have one familiar face, which is me. We have a somewhat familiar face, which is Hanley. And if you have been a longtime listener, she was the very first person on the very first episode. So it's been 6 months. Is Hanley doing better? Is Hanley doing worse? That's the big question. We have another familiar face to everybody inside the group, but everyone inside the group, they just see Samantha, Sam, hosting 60 every single day from the middle of nowhere in Australia. Hanley is in Scotland. I am in the United States. I have been sitting on this Zoom room anxiously awaiting this call. It's since 5:30 in the morning. This is a three-continent coordination, maybe first in reselling history. We have three people, three continents. I'm in South Florida. Hanley is in Scotland. Samantha, you are in literally the middle of nowhere, Australia, and you have been able to make it happen because we have a big player over here. We got Hanley. She's a big player. I'm the scrub on this call. We got two big players on the call. Samantha, middle of nowhere. Introduce yourself. Get us started. This is the first time you and I have been talking. You've been in the group for a long time. This is the first time we've ever spoke. It's so nice to meet you. Let everybody know what you got going on, what you do, as far as you want to take it. Hanley, as far as you want to take it. Be careful. The internet is forever, guys. Pam, over to you.
That was quite an introduction. Thank you. It's nice to actually speak to you for the first time, despite being in the group for like 3.5, 4 years. So I live in the middle of Alice Springs, which is in the center of Australia. I've been reselling since 2019. I've been full-time for 2.5 years now. I like to think that when I went full-time, I was set, ready to go, but I probably went full-time a little bit too soon. So now I feel like I'm actually at the point where I'm rocking and rolling, on the way to hopefully catch Hanley with a $500,000 uh, gross sales this year.
Nice. So you have been listing 60 for as long as I can remember. You are very, very, very consistent. Every single day, you post your screen 60, post your screen 60, post your screen 60. So you live in the middle of nowhere, Australia, and I know that there are challenges in Australia, just like there's challenges in Scotland and the UK. It's not like the land of plentiful in the United States of America, but you've been able to make it happen. Sometimes a little bit unconventionally. I know you buy storage units from time to time. You're getting stock in. So 60 a day. How long have you been doing that? And you're trying to do at least a $500,000 this year. What does your operation look like? Kind of what does a day look like for Samantha?
Great question. So I'll start with how long I've been doing 60. It's literally years. So I
Wow.
think it's a year and a half. It'll be 2 years in June. So in terms of how I get stock, so to put it in reference for you, Australia is about the same size as the US in terms
Yes.
of land mass, but we have 1/10 of the population. So when I road tripped the US years ago, I thought that we could just kind of scoot around places really quickly. But your small towns are like millions of people, whereas our small towns, especially around me, are like 10,000 people. So
Wow.
it takes a lot longer to get around the US. So in my town, there's two op shops, or thrift stores, as you call them, that we can source stock from. There's pros and cons. I think the pro is that if anything's going to be sourceable in my town, it's going to be in one of two places. So it kind of limits the guest game and they have to run around town. Over the years, we've been able to develop some really good relationships with the op shops. Obviously, the limitation is a lot of people come and go. Managers, I've seen like 3 or 4 different iterations of them. So up in the morning, 5 o'clock, wake up eBay, do all my postage labels, rocking and rolling, breakfast, coffee. Then I hit the storage units at the post office by 9, hitting the op shops from 9 to 12, home at 12, listings, photos, done usually by 4 to 5. And I have to launder everything in that time as well.
So about 5 to 5, 60 a day, $500,000. middle of the outback. Are you what are you do you live where an American thinks what Australia is? Like next to the dingoes?
Yeah,
Like, is that where you live?
yeah, yeah.
Interesting. All right. So Sam,
Kangaroos in the yard.
yeah, very good. So Sam, 60 a day, chasing 500,000. Hanley, give us a little bit of an update. It's been 6 months.
It's been a wild 6 months. It's been a very good 6 months. I've managed to hit a lot of personal bests in the last 6 months. My business is significantly increased a lot. I am also currently in a battle with Sam. Um, I called out on a group. Sam is very impressive, and I just saw it every day, posting so consistently and like going out of her way to make her business work. And so I called it out in the group, and I was like, "Let's go. Let's see who can smash it the most this year." So we're currently in a very competitive battle. Um, Percentage growth is what we're aiming for.
That's right.
So I can't tell you how much I've increased my business in the last 6 months, but it's a lot. So it's been really good. It's been amazing. Just from the first podcast and that meaningful conversation and implementing all of it to where we are now, the business has really taken off.
Well, you gotta give us something, Hanley. Give us something. I want to know how good you're doing.
When I sat down with you on that podcast, my 90-day total was just under, I think, 27,000. And yesterday I hit a personal best of 70,000 on my 90 day.
Oh, I saw Sam's face, the hamster wheels running. So 6 months ago, your 90-day total was 27,000.
Yeah.
Today it is $70,000 90-day total.
Yes.
Wow. All right. How in the world have you been able to do that in 6 months? So you're on pace for 280K, but I know you're not stopping there because your goal this year is 300K, right?
So I actually missed the mark a bit. I was supposed to be on K with 75 at the end of March. And I know why I didn't make it, but I'm actually off pace a bit because my end goal is 300K for the year. And that used to be eBay and my wholesale part, but I'm going to smash 300K just on eBay. So we need to get on pace a lot quicker. I think for me, being in this challenge with Sam and having to think outside of the box a lot and having to come up with different ways to grow your business other than just what everyone thinks are ways to grow your business. So my ASP is also up over 20%. Making those changes, so doing the same amount of work, getting better results. So I've upped my ASP by over 20% since we last sat down. I haven't increased my listings. I'm still listing the same amount as I did when we sat down. So I've just been a lot smarter in how I work my business and literally extracting the full potential of every single aspect in my business has gotten me this far. And now I'm just going to start smashing out those listings. Because if I can do this at 60 a day like Sam, she'll be old news by the end of the year.
So 60 a day. So Hanley is a grasshopper at 35 a day. A 35 a day grasshopper. You were once at 35 a day. Now you're at 60 a day. I went from 30 to 60. What are the differences, kind of the complications, the roadblocks, the barriers to going from a 30 to 60 a day business that you had run into? Or maybe it was smooth sailing, but if Hanley thinks she could do 60 sitting at 35, we love when 35 a day people say they could do 60. We love it. So Sam, if you had any advice for 35 a day Hanley, what would it be?
I don't know if I can give her advice given we're in a competition.
That's true.
But I honestly think the hardest thing about growth is your mindset. So I know from my personal perspective that I can get comfortable and I can coast when I feel like I'm at the place that I'm comfortable at. Like 60 is very comfortable now, but 30 was also very comfortable and I got to spend a lot of time on the couch. So being in the competition with Hanley has, as she said, has forced me to think differently, move differently, pick up this pace and everything. And it's those little tweaks that you can do to your processes that cut off seconds, but at 60 a day, it makes an enormous difference. Like a minute on every listing, a minute on every photograph adds up.
And so a couple of weeks ago, you said that everything unlocked. And like you said, you think it's a lot of mind state. So you're working 5 to 4, 5 to 5, roughly, 10, 11, 12 hours a day, making a fantastic income on your own terms. And I know, Hanley, you said you were done by what time today?
11 a.m.
11 a.m. So we're not over here working 24 hours a day. Hanley's a mom, got some kids. Sam, you have a family, so we're able to do both. But a couple of weeks ago, Sam, you wrote me and you say that it has unlocked for you the mind state, and you said that I guess the difference in reselling between making it and not making it, it's not like all the mechanical portion. It's just it all comes down to effort. And you said that you know once that part has been unlocked for you, like for the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, you've kind of been on a roll. So I guess how did you get to the point where that was unlocked? It was just about effort. And I believe that too. And effort is free. It doesn't cost anything. And I think that, that compounding effect of effort every single day, we can count on your posts in the group every single day. You have 60. We can count every single day that Hanley's going to talk trash on underneath your post. We can count on it every single day. It's going to happen. So I guess, how did you get enlightened to that? It's nothing extraordinary out of the ordinary. It's just about showing up and putting forth your best effort on a daily basis.
So this is no shade to anyone else, but realizing, so I was in the group for a very long period of time, but I never actually participated live in any of the calls. I just kind of was head down doing the work.
Time.
Yeah. You gave us the blueprint. Largely, I think it is just a blueprint, and you need to take it and tweak it to fit what works with you, where you are with your opportunities. So sitting in the calls, and I don't feel like I'm doing absolutely anything different than anyone else in there, apart from I just show up every day. That's the difference. If I'm sick, I still put my listings up. If we have an event on, I still put my listings up. And it's the little bit of extra that you can do on top. Like when I'm in the line at the post office, I'm not just in the line at the post office, I'm on my phone, I'm doing research. I will just quickly scroll. Instead of watching TV at night, I will just scroll the comps. I'll find a word in a title and I'll be like, oh, I don't know what that is. I'll write it down and I'll then put it into the search bar and I'll see if that's a trending keyword or if it was just a once-off, a blip on the radar. It's those little tiny things that you can do on a day in, day out basis that people constantly want the secret sauce, but that's the secret sauce.
I agree. Yeah. I think like you said, like that extra one step of additional information or additional knowledge, like that truly creates separators between you and everybody else. Just that one extra variation of a keyword, especially for clothing. That one extra step of willpower of, I'm going to get it done no matter what today. And, once you build that momentum, like you're doing 60 a day, once you get to 60 a day, there is nothing in the entire world that is ever going to stop you from getting those listings up on a daily basis. And like it would have to, like the world would have to get hit by a comet in order for Sam to miss her listing goal at this point. So, all right. So Hanley, you have a couple things written down on a note, just like you did the first time. We've given a proper introduction to you folks, and that's UK slang for you. We don't say proper in the United States. So I've been learning a lot from you guys in the UK. And I've also been learning a lot from the folks in Australia. Mel, favorite word, righto. I love that word. That's a great word. All right. Hanley, let's get into a topic. What do you got today?
Right. So I have two of the people that's been like the most influential in my business over the last 6 months here. So I was kind of sitting down and thinking like, what has been the biggest thing that's changed for me that made me go get my business this far? And also these benefits that I'm getting from constantly daily being in this battle with Sam. And for me, the thing I kept coming back to, and it relates to what Sam just said, was I had to realize that having a day-to-day mindset at my business was holding me back to an extent. And by that, I mean that I get up in the morning, I list my 35, I do my postage. Oh, I'm done for the day. There you are. Now I can go do what makes me happy, right? That mindset was what was stopping me from growing the business because I was doing what needed to be done that day, but just what needed to be done that day, right? The minute I started looking at my business in a month, in a year, in a goals that are longer than just my checklist for today, that's when you really start in a day-to-day aspect, making the type of changes that brings you that monthly, yearly type of growth and helps you to build this eBay machine instead of just a 9 to 5 every day, which eBay can very quickly turn into if you let that, right? And that also plays into like the most damage I ever did to my business was having these knee-jerk reactions to things that happen, right? But when you stop having a day-to-day mindset about what you're doing, you no longer feel the need to react to these things. Like, yes, this happened today and it threw me for a curveball. I don't need to react to this because for the other 29 days in the month, this wasn't an issue, right? And so what's really, really pushed my business like beyond from where I was the first time I sat down with you, I applied everything we had in that conversation to get me to that point. And then I realized that the longer you're going to stay stuck in this day-to-day mindset with eBay, the further and further you're going to get away to the point where your business starts becoming a machine that runs the way you just said to Sam, when you get to 60, there's no way you're stopping this.
1000% I agree. And for Hanley, you and I, we talk more often like this face to face. It's probably more so because of the time zone where Sam is on the total other side of the world. So, you know, during the calls, there was a portion where every single week that we would get together and we would talk, you had a new bright idea, as we refer to them, a new bright idea. And we say that tongue in cheek because a bright idea for Hanley was my business is running great, but I have this bright idea that I just want to change something in the business. For what? For what reason? A lot of it was due to the knee-jerk reactions, the one-off thing that happened randomly outside of 10,000 correct things, and therefore have to change my entire business. And you know, every situation is different, but the last knee-jerk reaction from and you threw them all out the window for the last 2 months. And after our last and final conversation of the bright idea was, you know, in your specific niche, you sell items that people need rather than maybe people want. So for you, pricing isn't as sensitive for maybe me and Sam because people, you know, they want our items. So we have to entice them and say, like, you kind of want this, but we're going to push you over the edge to really want this, whether it's a coupon, a markdown, whatever we have to do, offer to watchers. And for you, you have a specific business model with a specific metric. You want X amount of dollars profit in X amount of time. Your niche, your X amount of time is a little bit longer, which is fine. You have the warehouse space. You have 3 to 5 years of warehouse space because we've done the math. We've done the diagrams. You have a lot of space. You're fine. Your sell-through is fine. And the last bright idea was you wanted to come in guns blazing, markdowns, offers to watchers, coupons, this and that. And I asked you and said, like, why? And you're like, I want to get more sales. I want to do this. I want to do this. But on a business that is a need-based business, it doesn't matter if the item is $100 or on sale for 25% off and now it's 75. The buyer is still going to buy it because it's a want-based or it's a need-based business. So after that, that knee-jerk reaction of I want to stack all of these things to entice a coupon that doesn't need to be enticed. How has that decision to not do all of that stuff in your particular business? And we have to assess, do the items that we carry, do buyers need them or do they want them? Is it highly saturated? What is the competition doing? What is the market allowing within my niche? And for you inside of your niche, you're doing things that the market is not doing in your specific niche, in your specific country, where that is the value add, where for me and Sam, everyone's doing everything. So we have to kind of one up everybody else, and we have to entice, offer, markdown, let go of something for a little bit cheaper than we wanted to because we don't know when the next offer's coming. So I guess the bright ideas, how do we get past the bright ideas? Um, how do we get past the knee-jerk reactions? And I don't know if you can remember one, but what was like a good knee-jerk reaction where you thought you had to strip down a 300,000 pound business, which is $600,000 a year, where you had to strip this thing all the way down, bare bones to the floor, scorched earth, and restart your business from day one again?
So here's the funny thing, because every single bright idea I have was based off of a knee-jerk reaction to something which wasn't the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm reacting to something that's not the norm in my business because that's what's happened today. And so I had bad sales for 2 days. And I showed
Right.
up to that call between me and you, and I was like, I'm going to blaze them now with these markdowns and these coupons and these. But I'm up the other 28. Every single bright idea is based off of something that happened that wasn't the norm and doesn't repeat itself. So I had to put that filter in my mind. Like, is what I'm reacting to a constant in my business? And if it's not, then you don't need to do anything. It's fine. Like Sam talks about this all the time. She has these random, weird, slow sales days.
Mm-hmm.
And what does she do? Nothing. She just keeps
Nothing.
doing what she's doing.
That's
So
right.
I was like, no, I need to fix this now. And again, living day to day, being like, this is a bad day. I need to overhaul everything now to fix this one bad day. Let's forget about the other 300 good days I had. Them don't matter. We're going to go guns blazing and fix this one because this is the only one that's constant in my life today.
Right.
And you have to get out of that mindset. You have to stop living for eBay today. And you talk about this all the time. We have to look at averages. We have to focus our goals on averages. And there was one instance where you want to talk about one of my bright ideas is I was gonna change the clothing at one point. Cause like, why not? You're so successful, Claire. Everyone's successful. I'm gonna burn it to the ground.
Right.
Through the car parts. This is too hard. I don't know what I'm doing. Because I was trying to implement, like you said, the strategies you need when buyers want your products instead of the strategies I needed because they need my products. My
That's right.
product is a need. If your car breaks down, and I stock very exclusive parts where oftentimes I'm the first one to have it in the market, like if I'm the only one who has that part, you're going to buy it regardless of my coupon.
That's right.
Right? But now I'm trying to follow and all the things you teach can 100% be put into our business, but we have to realize what works and what doesn't. Okay? So I'm cheating myself out of money, first of all,
Yep.
because I'm trying to implement strategies that my products don't need.
That's
To
right.
try to fix a problem that only happened 2 hours ago and won't be there tomorrow.
That's
right? Because I'm stuck in today. Because now today, my world starts and ends today.
That's it.
Like that's all that I see today. This 24 hours, get returns. I'm angry. Get bad sales. The world is ending. Like, and that's where all of these come from every single time. And then we made a rule that every 2 weeks we meet in a call. Because I'm in the 1990 call, and I made a rule and I said, I'm not allowed to make any business changes until I show up here and say them to you. And half of the changes I want to make, you never even heard because 2 weeks later, they're so irrelevant. They're so irrelevant. Like, what are you like? I'm embarrassed to say some of them out loud. But again, it's this day-to-day knee-jerk reaction of I need to fix this irregularity that'll never happen again in my business by completely destroying everything that works.
That's right. So I would love, and I know you guys have a bright idea thread at one point. I would love to read through the bright idea thread between Sam and Hanley. I would love to see that, but that'll never see the light of day, like Hanley said. So
that was me. That was me and Sarah. So
you and Sarah had the bright idea thread.
We at one point I was like, some of these are so embarrassing. I'm just gonna say them to you instead of saying them to
So, all right. The first thing that I want to address. And I think everybody goes through this, and I think that the lack of confidence in what we're doing,
Mm.
it's easy for us to waver and not be rock steady on the path. So I don't know where the confidence comes from. Maybe you guys can speak to it, but also I realized a long time ago, everything scales except for one thing. And the only thing that doesn't scale is an outlier. We cannot scale our business based on outliers. We cannot scale our business on the one time something happened. And sometimes when I make a video, sometimes people will post and they go, "Oh, I get scammed all the time." And I say, "Define all the time." And it's like, "Well, like twice out of 20,000 times." That's not all the time. That was an outlier. It's 2 times. You don't need to disregard the entire platform. You don't need to tear it all down and start over. You don't. Not every buyer is bad because you got scammed 2 times out of 20,000. That's not all the time. So like, unless it's really seriously all the time, outliers do not scale. And the other day, Sam, you made a post. Slow day. Car died. Something else happened. This happened. This happened. And do you remember my response?
Keep trucking.
I said, keep trucking, do nothing.
Hmm.
Don't change anything. Just
Yeah.
wake up tomorrow and keep doing the same thing. And one of the most puzzling things in the entire world to me is we wake up, we find success. We wake up, we find success. We find success for a month, a week, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years. And you know what people want to do? Something else. We find success and we want to do something else. So, Sam, you are now very rock solid because things happen every single day. And I know in a 60-a-day business, things happen every day.
Every
I
day.
know. You don't post about them, just like Hanley. They don't see the light of day. But you are as rock solid as anybody on your mission moving forward. I have not heard a bright idea from Sam. But every single day, no shade to Sam Hanley, I have not heard a bright idea from Sam. So where does the, I guess, business identity come from? Where does the confidence come from? Because, all right, you get into the group, you listen to YouTube, you listen to the podcast, a lot of information, fire hose of information. It is globally great advice for everybody, but it's not great advice for Hanley in Scotland today. This one piece of information. This one piece of information is not great advice for Sam in Australia today. This one piece of information is not great advice for Harold in Kalamazoo today. We have to be able to run it through a filter and see, does this apply to me? Is this going to move the needle? Is this piece of information valid for me? And that's not people in the group. That's people everywhere in the entire world, where a family member might say something that can shake us to our core and have us question everything. A friend, someone just passing can shake our confidence on anything. If we're wearing a new shirt and someone passes at us, scoffs at us, but they're talking about someone behind us, we lose confidence in our new shirt until we realize, we understand that, like, this is my shirt. I own it. This is my business. I own this. How do people out there, how do we find the confidence in our business model where we can remain steadfast and be unshakable in our mission and what we're doing? And I think one of the greatest things, one of the greatest gifts that I have is that I am unshakable. I have said the same thing since the very first podcast that I have ever come on here. I cannot be wavered by opinion. I'm only looking at facts, only looking at numbers. And we have well over $1 million in sales between the both of you two sitting right here. So this is a gift. This is a treat for everybody that is listening. But a lot of people, we struggle with that confidence and business identity. So, Sam, what kind of information or helpful tip can you give due to your experience on how do we find that business identity? How do we gain the confidence? And then I want to hear from Hanley too.
I think about this all the time. I also used to have knee-jerk reactions to every little thing. When I'd have a false INAD open. It would be like tectonic plates would shift underneath me and it'd be an earthquake of anger. And I just want to burn it all down, change everything. I think truly the greatest change is when the confidence started to grow from the money stacking up in the bank account. So
Nice.
it was a switch from a scarcity mindset because I was just getting by to, oh my goodness, this works, because there was proof of concept basically. And that also extended out to the wider network of people around me, so the family. When you leave a job that you're well established in, and it's a completely different change of pace where you're self-employed, it's very easy to just go, I've done enough, and go sit on the couch and clock in, clock out like you do with a normal 9 to 5 job, which is what I made the mistake of doing when I first went full time. And of course, then the money doesn't come. So then you
Mm-hmm.
start to lose confidence because you're not putting in your best effort every single day. But for me, the disconnect was that I could go quite long periods at work where I could get away with goofing around, and I still got paid the same amount of money every day. But if you do that in your eBay business, you can't actually get paid the same amount of money
That's
because you're
right.
not
Yeah.
putting the same level of product every day. So my disconnect in the beginning was not knowing how much I needed to make in gross sales every day to get the net profit that was required to actually pay my bills. So the savings went down. And then it was when I sat down and did what I never wanted to do, which was the line by line accounting, and saw where the bleds were. And the major problem was me and my effort that I was putting in. I wasn't listing enough to generate enough sales to generate the amount of money needed. But then when you start making above that, that's where the confidence comes from. That's where you see that there's abundance. That's where you see that it works. And it can work for anyone, anywhere. You just have to know how much you have to do every day, do what you have to do every day, and find those little key things that will make your products more desirable or higher ranking in the search to generate that sale.
That's right. So there was a lot of great tips in there. So a lot of people, they ask, hey, I want to quit my job and I want to do this full time. My answer is always the same to every single person. If you put full time effort, you will get full time results. You put part time effort, you will get part time results. And I think we all wake up in the morning and we'll go sell our time 9 to 5 to somebody else for $10 an hour, $15 an hour, $20 an hour. We are selling our time to someone else, and we'll do that every single day, 9 to 5. But we won't put a 9 to 5 schedule into our own business. I see that a lot all the time is I want to do this full time, but I want full time results with a part time effort. That doesn't align. So if you do want the full time results, you have to put in the time accordance to it. So you spoke to proof of concept. How did you establish proof of concept? Because we do talk about that a lot. For me, it was as easy as I bought one of these, it sold. So I bought two, those two sold, this works. That's all I needed to see. So how do you establish proof of concept? And then also, you took a look at the numbers line by line. And I think a lot of people, they're scared to look at the numbers. A lot of
Yeah.
people are intimidated by the numbers. And something that you just said, if you want to make certain amount, this is the secret. You can press pause. This is the secret. If you want to make X amount, you have to at least list X amount in order to make that amount. So people go, hey, I want to make $100,000 this year. How much are you listing per day? $150 worth of stuff. There is no way in a million billion years you will ever sell 100,000 if you do not list 100,000. But we don't know this until we get into the numbers, because now in order to sell 100,000, you have to list 100,000. In order to make $100,000 profit, you have to list enough where it's going to give you $100,000 worth of profit. So I guess, how did you determine what proof of concept looked like to you? And how did you come to the realization that in order for this to work, I have to put forth the amount of effort required to this to work? And in order for me to sell 500,000 Australian dollars worth of stuff, I have to list $500,000 worth of stuff.
So with the putting in 8 hours worth of work, I just want to touch on that because there's been heaps of studies that show that most people who work an 8 hour day only put in about 2 hours worth of effort.
That's right.
So I
Absolutely.
think that when people go full time, they think that they're putting in 8 hours worth of work, but they're actually only putting in the equivalent of what a person that is fully productive, fully optimized for 8 hours is doing in 2. And that's where
right.
the unfortunate disconnect comes from. But for me, the true proof of concept was going full time, burning through all my savings because I had no idea what I was doing, even though I thought I was very well established, but I realized I was not. Essentially, breaking down my whole business and how I was operating, rebuilding it within the first year, and then realizing that my bank account had regrown to where it was, but actually then much higher. And obviously, not having to go back to work. That was a bonus because for a while there, I thought I was going to have to. So I essentially feel like in that first year of going full time, I had started again from scratch. I copied a lot of what people did on YouTube, despite being in the group that whole entire time. I didn't implement everything that you had taught us. Sorry.
Hey,
I
that's
still
on you,
copied
not on me.
I still copied what people were trying to do on YouTube, but it just simply doesn't work. You have to make it work for what you have in your local area, and I can't source what other people source interstate. So that was my proof of concept.
That's right. All
And
right.
the
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, just when I realized I had to list as much to sell what I wanted to, when I got into the numbers and realized that my store back end was X amount, and I was like, I'm going to make this amount. I was like, well, if I'm only selling through my store twice a year, I'll actually never physically be able to make that number happen. So it was doing the math.
Absolutely. That's right. All right. So, Hanley, confidence in the business. You've struggled with this a lot.
Yes.
You've struggled with finding your identity, and once you have been able to find your business identity, it's just been off to the races, like
Yeah.
exponential thousands of percent growth. And you also you spoke about it at length in the first podcast that we ever did. And if people didn't hear it, go all the way back to the front, listen to the very first podcast with Hanley. You struggled with a lot of the same things that Sam struggled with too. Can you just bring everyone up to speed in that aspect right there? Like Sam said, she ran her bank account to zero, thinking that she was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And I know one part in your eBay career, you were doing you say this line all the time, and I think it echoes true for a lot of people, is that you said, I was selling over 100,000, but I didn't have 100,000 in the bank. And
Where's
the
the money?
and the only one that was making money was your supplier,
Yep.
was the post office,
Yep.
and eBay.
Yep.
So speak to that, bring people up to speed, and how did you find your business identity? How did you find this confidence? Because the two of you, you guys have a swagger, you have a confidence. What I'm doing is working. I know it's working, but I think that's super important. There's a difference between, like, being a know-it-all, being cocky. You guys are not that. But there's a difference in, I know what I'm doing and I know this works. And that is a very, very important part of our identity, of our business identity. And I think once we identify and unlock that swagger, I think that, like Hanley, once you have unlocked that, if we can mark it on a calendar, you're up thousands of percent
Yeah.
from that time.
So it's a lot similar to what Sam said, is I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. I was doing all these things because I found my business identity in what everyone else is doing, right? Not being able to identify what needs done for myself. Working hard, not making any money, burning through everything I had. The problem came in. I started a business. I was listening to what everyone else was doing. I was doing what they said we should be doing. The problem is now you're constantly waiting to hear what you should be doing next. because you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. You don't understand what the impact is of what you're doing. And then you sit back and you go, I don't understand where the money is. But you can't go figure out where the money is because you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing. Right? And that was me. I was constantly pedaling against the wind, waiting for someone else to tell me what I should be doing next because I didn't understand the way my business was set up because it was a mirror of what everyone else was doing. And so, how can you have confidence in that? How do you have confidence in that? How do you even manage that business if you don't even really understand why you're doing what you're doing or what the end results will be? You're listing 35 a day, but like Sam says, you never even understand that it doesn't really matter if you list 35 a day if they're not quality items that's going to get you to your financial goal. But you can stand up proudly and say, I listed 35 today. That's not hard. What's hard is when you have to pay bills and those 35 aren't paying the bills. And I truly, truly found my confidence in this business when I, just like Sam, dismantled the whole thing. And what was that one trigger for me was I had gone back and listened. You have so many recorded calls from like way, way back, even before you were in the other group, like way back. And I went back and I listened to all of them. And something you said, someone had asked you if they were to start eBay business now, how will you do it? And the first thing you had said, it somehow through all these years got lost in translation, but it was find what is profitable and plentiful in your area. And just you saying that and me making that mind shift of like, I don't have to do what everyone else is doing. Your advice is not for everyone to do what everyone else is doing. I know where to find plentiful, profitable items. I don't know how to run the business. Okay. So I need to go strip it all down and go, okay, my items are different. Okay. So again, why am I doing all these markdowns and things that everyone else is doing? Right. So I had to completely strip down my business, rebuild it on my own knowledge and on my own understanding. And yes, I made mistakes, but listening to what we learn and listening to the advice and then knowing your business and your products and knowing what to implement. And then as Sam says, the bank account starts responding. And there's nothing that gives you as much confidence in life as the right results. Like when the right results happen, that's confidence. Because, okay, yes, this is working. Like this is right. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And as long as we rely on just mirroring what other people are doing, we're forever going to rely on them telling us what to do next. And there's no confidence in that. None.
Absolutely. So like the danger of the mindset of like I got to figure out this next thing because that next thing is going to totally transform my business is a very dangerous mindset. So on
Yeah.
surface level, sounds great. Like, you know, if I do X, that will totally transform my business. So, hey, I'm listing 20. If I list 25 a day, that'll transform my business. Hey, I'm doing this, but I want to start doing this. That will totally transform my business. But what happens when we're in that mind state of the next big thing that I'm going to do is going to be the next thing that transforms my business? Is that we're always looking for the next thing.
Yep.
The next thing. We're no, even if we're always looking for the next thing that's going to bring us to the promised land, to the finish line. And the unfortunate part about that is that we never find the next thing because it's based a lot on the knee-jerk reaction or the one-off or the outlier. And that next thing mentality, that's when people make a lot of changes. And the new topic every week, the new focus every week, the new this every week, the new that every week. We never get into this place where we're able to build the momentum that you two have been able to build. When you can have the momentum of doing something consistently for weeks, months, years at a time, the momentum is unstoppable at that point. So you talk about doing the right thing and getting the right result. Hanley, when you were doing maybe not the right thing, you thought you were getting the right result. So what is the right result?
Bank account going up. like it actually producing what you need it to produce. For me, the biggest struggle in my business was that it wasn't actually a business. It was something I did every day to keep busy. But your business is not a business if you're not actually progressing. And unfortunately, we're in this business for financial reasons, right? I'm not here to have something to do every day. I'm here for financial reasons. But it's very easy to feel accomplished when you're busy every day, right? It's very easy to feel like you are doing the right thing because you're busy every day.
Mm-hmm.
But you can be busy with the wrong things, and now you've lost sight of the target. But on a day-to-day basis, you feel I'm working hard. I'm doing things every day. I'm putting in the effort, right? And you get stuck in that. But you've lost sight of in the long term, this is not actually giving you the results you need.
Absolutely. So people, they ask questions all day, all day, all day. And the lens that I always answer the question through is this going to fill up my bank account with least resistance? And if it's going to be harder, then just do what you're doing. If it's going to be more in the bank account, then that is the North Star. That's the guiding light. If you can make the same amount of money easier versus the same amount of money harder, that's an easy decision to make. If the decision is going to lead to less money going into the bank account, that's an easy decision to make. So for Hanley, the right result is looking at the bank account going up. And I know you have you want to bring your husband on board. That's one of your
Yeah.
goals, and you are setting aside your husband's pay
Yes.
10 months before he's
Yeah.
entering the business in preparation for this money not being available once he comes full time with you. And you've been able to run your business where it was at 27K 6 months ago. Now it's at 70K, where you're setting aside this salary 10 months ahead of time. And you told me you don't even miss it. You don't even care. It doesn't even bother you.
So that was twofold for me. By the time he joins the business, there will be over a year worth of his salary saved up in the business. Number one, I wanted to prove to myself before he joins for a whole year that my business can sustain it. Because it's easy to go on your best months and say, I can afford your salary.
That's
And
right.
to put it into perspective, my husband's salary pays all our household bills. So that's quite an important salary for me in my life. But twofold. One, I wanted to prove on a long-term basis that my business can sustain it. Okay, so that's why we decided a year before the time to start putting his salary away. Number two, when he does join, I want to scale up significantly. And having a year's worth of salary in the bank means that I can withdraw 50% of that to scale up and still have 6 months worth of his salary saved up for emergencies. Right? So again, not looking day to day, looking long term.
So the long-term mentality, Sam, how did you transition to the long-term mentality that Hanley's talking about? Because whenever she refers to making that change or that pivot, it's always the day-to-day is no longer gone. And people they make a post and they'll say this and they'll say that and they'll say this. And I have the same answers to every single time, I always say, if you're in business for only today, then you're in huge trouble. Humongous trouble if you have one day to pay all of your business's bills for the entire year. We're not in business for one day. We have 365 more days this year specifically because it's a leap year. We get a free day. So if you have a bad day, throw that one away. You got a free one. So we're not in business for one day. How do we where does hey, we're not in business for one day come from? Today is fine. We give that away. And like for in America, they have like Amazon Prime Day. And on Amazon Prime Day, every eBay seller in America, it's going to be a brutal day. So
Yeah.
when people will post and be like, "Oh, it's Amazon Prime, I didn't sell anything," I always say, "Hey, we give Amazon one day a year. They got their day. Let's take the other 365 more days." How do we get that long-term mentality, that long-term approach? Because it's easy to say, like, we have to think in longer terms, but people don't have any data to reflect on to make a judgment on the longer term. So we need to start formulating and putting down the data, whether it's on a calendar like I do, whether it's on a spreadsheet. How do we make that switch where we're not in business for one day?
For me, it was making a target that was big enough that it meant that one day wouldn't actually move the needle close enough to the target that I had to keep showing up. But if the target is this big and I need 10 years to break it down to be able to hit that, then I've got 10 years worth of a plan. And it's not every day, it's I did 1% towards that goal. So I think for my mind state, knowing that if I miss out today on one day of listing, I broke down the numbers with Mel a few weeks ago. Like, if I only do 6 days worth of listing, I rob myself of
Oh, for sure.
putting into my store like $76,000, which is the average Australian wage from taking one day off.
Yes.
When you look at your numbers in those sorts of lenses, it's a huge wake-up call. And that's 76,000 gross, obviously, but that is I turn my store over twice per year, so I am actually losing that amount of gross sales.
Yeah.
And that takes me quite far away from my big goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't have your ducks in a row and you miss listing on a Sunday, you have robbed your business of 76,000. And I used to think about that a lot. Um, and I think that, but then we get into that mentality of like, oh, then now it's a grind because like I'm afraid to take off one day because I'm gonna lose 76,000. And like for me, I struggled with that a lot. So that's why, like, that's one of the reasons why, like, I never ever missed a day because I knew I was robbing from my business. So, like, now I wasn't smart enough to do this. Like, I'm not a smart person. I wasn't smart enough to figure out do a little bit extra every single day and develop a draft bank. I was not smart enough to figure that out. I was only smart enough to wake up in the morning and get my work done and wake up tomorrow morning and get my work done. So, Sam, do you implement the draft bank or are you rocking and rolling 60 a day every single day?
No, no, I need a draft bank because I do the markets and stuff as well. So on
Okay.
those days, it is quite hard to be able to balance an extra, essentially, job. And then the markets usually fall on a Sunday, which we have family dinner. We also do a local music festival, which is
Oh,
4 days
nice.
away from the business. So I need the draft bank because we're actually out in a remote location. There's no mobile service. I have to take the Starlink internet. So I list while I'm out there eBay doesn't skip a beat. I have this whole extra business built in on top, which is all the items that are non-eBayable items. So nothing's ever wasted. And it just becomes a stacking on top of that's like the cream on top of the cake.
So you're in the middle of the desert. You ring Elon
Literally.
Musk on the Starlink. You bust out a
Yeah.
briefcase for the internet, and you're getting listings done through
Yeah.
satellites in the sky on the internet?
Yeah.
What? But you're only launching drafts at those points then, right?
Yeah, so I'll have them scheduled, but I don't let the schedules go live. I sell similar off them. So I'll wake up in the middle of nowhere. I will open my laptop. I'll use the gas cooker to make a coffee, and I will do all my
What?
eBay very early in the morning while all the people are still asleep at the festival. And then I'll take down the shade structures and the music will start and I will start selling while eBay's running in the
Wow.
background.
So Hanley, Sam's in the middle of the desert using satellites in the sky with briefcases like the movie.
Sam is such a badass. Like, this is one of the reasons I called her out because she's such a badass. And like her mindset is so rock solid that I was like, if I take this person on, the only outcome is that my mindset will be because she cannot be faulted. She can't.
Mm-mm.
I can't get her off track. So the only way to beat her is to have that mindset,
Yeah.
right? And for me, like Sam said, the only way you get out of a day-to-day mindset is if consistency is no longer an issue in your business.
Mm.
That's it. You'll never get out of day-to-day if you struggle with consistency. Look at the length Sam goes to for consistency not to be an issue in our business. Like, we've got the Outback, the kangaroos, Elon Musk is involved. Like, this woman is like the length at which she goes to ensure that consistency is not an issue in our business is what sets her apart. And it's what set you apart, right? But we want to look at big financial goals, but half of the day we still have to be preoccupied because we're not consistent. We still have to struggle to get our listings together. We still have to you cannot advance from that mindset until you have the mindset of no matter what, this is done. This is getting done. I don't even have to think about it. It's getting done. She doesn't waste any time on this. She's like, pack Elon, pack the kangaroo, listings check. This is a no thing to her at all. And yet we have situations where on a day-to-day basis, sellers are still struggling with the motivation to get some of their listings out. And that's why she's so far ahead, quite honestly.
You're absolutely right. If we are struggling with consistency, we can never break out of a day-to-day mentality.
No,
because we're
never.
only worried
That's your
about
present.
what we have to do today.
That's your present. And that will forever be your present. Because unless you're able to overcome that, because I struggle with the exact same thing as you, Tech. Like, I struggle with the fear of not getting it done.
That's
Like,
right.
it's a fear to me to not get my postage out, to not get my listings done. But the good news is, like Sam has proven in some of the most unconventional ways, these things don't have to be a problem. Do a bit extra on the day you can. Build a draft bank. I myself am a professional draft bank dodger. That's one of the things I struggle with the most in life is these freaking draft banks. But I don't mess. I am consistent. There was a very unfortunate event a couple of days ago where I didn't launch my listings, not because I didn't have them. I had them. I did them. I have a draft bank, and I must have gotten distracted with my kids or something and never pressed launch. And I woke up the next morning and they were still there, and I was literally in tears. But I just did double the next day. Also, another thing, one little bad thing doesn't really derail your business, but
totally
you
fine.
can't be long term. You can't have big goals if we're still struggling day to day with our consistency.
All right. I'm glad that you guys have brought this up. So, Hanley, on the weekends, sometimes on Saturday, you don't post the accountability. And I used to talk smack because I was like, Sam's here, where's Hanley? But Hanley says, hey, Saturday and Sunday, I'm involved with the kids all day. Don't worry, my listings are going up. You say every single day you cook a home cooked meal. Family's happy. Aside from the one time we were deep in conversation, I forgot to pick up my kids. You had to go run and go get the kids. You weren't late, but that was one of the funniest things ever. We're sitting there, deep conversation on the morning call, and I just see a little square in the corner go, and then she logged off. And I said, where'd Hanley go? And you go, forgot to get my kids. So you ran out and got the kids from school. So, all right. One of the biggest knocks that people like to say about me personally is that I'm grind mode. I'm 100%, all work, no life balance. It cannot be farther from the truth. I'm able to do my work. I'm able to be there for my son. I'm able to do my work. I'm able to be there for my wife. Sam, you're able to do your work. You're able to go out to music festivals, run a market, be there for your family. Hanley, you're able to do your work. You're able to be there for your family. It is not binary work, no balance. But if you are doing this work, if you are doing this job, if you are running this business and you want the maximum outcome, like all three of us do here, we signed up to do this. There are things that we have to do that are unconventional, which is Sam waking up a little bit early, launching her listings, having a great day. Hanley, I got to knock out my work. We're ready to rock and roll. There are unconventional things that we have to do if we want the maximum result for our eBay business. And that's no different. For the landscape company, I had a big job, a corporate account. Sometimes they call during dinner. And that's $100,000 on the line. And my family understands that, you know what? I have to step away for a moment. I'll be right back. They don't dislike me. They don't side eye me. They understand that this $100,000 account put this food on the table, put this roof over our head. The couple of minutes I have to step away because someone's petunias wasn't cut perfectly to their liking. That's part of life. That's part of life. So you can, for the record, and it's easy for me to say, I'm a guy with only one kid. I don't have two, I don't have three, I don't have four. My son's 21 years old. Hanley, you're a mom. I love your story. I love when women come on here. I love when Hanley comes on here. I love when Sam comes on here. I love to hear your guys' story that you guys can still kick ass and live a kick ass life. You can do both. But we come on here, we talk about eBay because that's what the podcast is about. We don't have a best life podcast. Like we could do that episode and we could talk about our best life because life is freaking great. Life is great. But we come on here and we talk about eBay. So do we have to make some concessions for a couple of minutes sometimes where it's not an ideal time? Yes. But Sam's over here for 4 days in the middle of the Outback at a music festival. Who else over here working at the gas station or working a 9 to 5 or working in an office gets to spend 4 days at a time because they want to? So like we never talk about that trade. How many baseball games did I have to miss because I have to ask my manager or my boss, can I go see the game? Zero, because I'm working on my own time, making my own schedule. So the knock of high performance, low life balance, any of you guys have you ever struggled with that? Do you struggle with that? Is it possible to do both? Sam, what say you?
I love this topic of conversation. I was discussing this with my partner this morning. So I actually think when you become so present in your business on the day to day, that translates into everything else that you do. So you even become more present in your relationships.
I
You're
agree.
not sitting there scrolling on Instagram. Like, don't get me wrong, we still chill out and watch TV and stuff like that. But when you're with friends, like, yes, you may respond to a message. Yes, you may answer an offer. Yes, you may send offers, but you are present in that conversation.
I
And I
agree.
find that I'm much more present now than I ever have been when I've been in any other line of work in my whole entire life. So the laser focusedness that we have to achieve the goals that we have on eBay is just translatable to everything else that we do, at least for me anyway.
I agree. And the laser focus is a good word. I am laser focused on work, I'm only laser focused on things that matter. Everything
Yeah.
else, it doesn't matter. Hanley,
Mm.
are you able to do both?
I find this is the number one comment I get as a woman with children, and they find out how big my eBay business is yeah, I don't want to do that because I still want to be there for my kids and my family.
Ooh.
And I'm like, okay. So I wake up every morning with my kids. I get my kids ready for school, give them breakfast. I walk my kids to school every day. I've been at every single play, stay and play, sport event, athletics event. I've gone to 3 different Christmas shows in a day. Like I put a home cooked meal on the table every single night. Well, occasionally we have some tea, but every single night there's dinner around my table, most of which I cook. Weekends are spent at kids' birthday parties or play dates with friends or a drive out somewhere to spend time together. We do have family holidays. Like,
Mhm.
I think, honestly, I think sometimes it's easier to say that as an excuse because it's hard work. I had to choose hard. I had to choose that I don't want to sacrifice either because the financial gains from having the business benefits my family, and I don't want to sacrifice being the type of mom I want to be, and I still get 7 to 8 hours sleep a night. So, like, I don't binge watch Netflix. I don't watch reels for hours. I gave up those things. Um, and that's okay. We all have to pick our own hard, right? I chose work really hard, be very involved in my kids' lives, and that's all I have time for in my life. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. You say you have to choose your heart, and that's something that you
Yeah.
say often.
Yeah.
And we get into this conversation of um like last week with Isaiah, we talked about the opportunity cost.
Mhm.
And for clothing sellers, it's, do you want to spend more time sourcing or do you want to spend more time processing?
Yep.
Do you want to spend more time trying to find items with a high ASP or do you want to spend more time maybe doing 2 photos for every one you could do if you had that one extra banger item. So the choose hard, because that's something that you say very often whenever someone is wrestling with something. And
Yes.
it makes perfect sense, because what the answer that they're looking for is,
Easy.
I want both of these to be easy.
Yes.
But it doesn't, one is going to be hard and one is not going to be as hard, or one is going to be hard and one is not going to be as hard. And so where does that come from? Because I think that's great. You have to choose hard. And the question comes up a lot, especially with I bought this item I know nothing about. I don't want to do any of the research, but I want to sell it for the most money.
Yeah.
We have to choose our hard. So inside of our business, we have to choose hard. So Hanley, can you speak on that a moment? And then I guess inside of your business, like what what portion of hard did you have to choose?
So you have to realize life is hard. Choices is hard. Okay. Looking for the easy way out in things only leads to temporary joy and fulfillment, in my opinion. It comes back to doing what you want to do or doing what needs to be done. Okay. So if I do what needs to be done, I get long-term results. If I do what I want to do in the moment, 2 hours from now, I'm going to have to do something else that I want to do in the moment. And I'm going to spend my whole life chasing what I want to do in the moment, which doesn't lead to anything temporary. Okay. So the choosing your hard came from, I am in a very different category within the group as well. Car part sellers are significantly smaller than the clothing sellers, and that's okay. Specifically in the UK, like I think I'm very much in the minority when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
my category. And the conversation always came up of why, why, why would you put in the effort? Like
Sure.
I don't get to handpick my items, I buy in bulk. The
Yep.
reason I buy in bulk is because I don't have to spend hours every day sourcing. Okay, that's my hard. My hard is I have to process more to get the same results as someone who has to spend hours to handpick items that'll sell quicker. Okay, pick your hard. I don't have hours in the day to go sourcing. I have 3 children. And so my hard has to be you buy in bulk, but I have to process more. Okay, and I have to list more and settle for a slower sell through rate. So that's my hard. Picking, for instance, clothing in the UK, their hard is that we don't have these massive thrift stores. So their hard is they have to spend hours every day sourcing. They have to spend hours every day on Vinted. I'm done by 11 a.m. because my stock is already here. I can process and do my things quickly because after 11 a.m., my life is dedicated to my children, or I have an event coming up with my kids, or I need to go sort out in my house, or I need to. But my hard is that I have to list more, photograph more, store more, and my items might take longer to sell. Okay? I
Mm-hmm.
can't have both the easy way. I
Sure.
can't buy clothing in bulk and expect the same sell through rate and the same price for the items and expect to have the same amount of time with my kids. That doesn't work because clothing in bulk is very hard to do here. It's almost nearly impossible. So that's why they're handpicked. So in
Absolutely.
your life, choose your hard. There is no easy option. And if you're going to keep looking for the easy option, you're going to get nowhere. The easiest option you're going to find is to wish for luck and buy a lottery ticket every week. And I'm going to get where I'm going a lot faster than you get where you're going. So pick your hard.
Absolutely. And like you said, since you're ordering in bulk, you have to do a lot of processing. And
Yes.
another thing that you have to do versus someone who's cherry picking one by one, you have to put together job lots, or in the United States, bulk lots,
Yes.
and wholesale those out to other people. So that's like another layer to your business that is choosing hard, where if you're hand picking, you don't have to go out and do it. So um one of the sayings that have always stuck for me is, easy money ain't good and good money ain't easy. And I
Yes.
think about that a lot. And another saying, where I was a little kid and one of my first baseball coaches, they told me, if you take shortcuts, you get cut short. And those kind of things, they always stick with me. And I think that, doing things the right way is so much faster than doing something a shortcut, because we always have to go back and redo it. So
Yeah.
doing it the right way is the always the fastest way, even if it takes a little bit more time at the time. And the easy money ain't good, but good money ain't easy. We all want good money. In order to get the good money, we got to put in the work. We got to put in the effort. We have to choose our own hard. And something that I realized this week, and I'm spending like a lot of time kind of like as this portion of my eBay business winds down, like I'm spending a lot of time trying to like go back through the steel trap hard drive brain and try to like remember a bunch of stuff that I've done um, throughout my eBay career. And like one of the things that I'm the most thankful for is that for as long as I can remember, I wake up every single day and choose to do exactly what I want to do. But this is the thing. In order to wake up tomorrow and get to choose exactly what you want to do, there's things that you have to do today to wake up tomorrow and do exactly what you want to do. So while it's a beautiful gift, you still have to get stuff done today in order to have that luxury for tomorrow. So I know Grant Cardone, you have to get past the marketing part and all this stuff. He says you have to be willing to pay any price today so you could pay any price tomorrow. And we have this luxury of waking up, choosing our own schedule, but in order to have that luxury tomorrow, we have to be committed and disciplined today. So, we have that two ends of two sides of the coin. So, all right, we have to choose our heart. Sam, by no stretch of the imagination is what you do, where you do it easy. You've had to choose a lot of hard too. There is no dump truck that's coming to the middle of the outback in your small town, small blip on the map, dumping profitable inventory on your front lawn. And I think one of the biggest things that you've had to overcome is finding the stock, good enough inventory, and you've done whatever it takes to get there. So I guess, you were faced with hard and you chose to take it on, head up and confront it and find a way to get it done. So, what do people do? Because a lot of people can relate to that story too. Like, I don't live in a favorable place. I'm miles away. I there's a million different things. How do you, I guess, face hard and then figure it out and then choose that path of least resistance that's going to fill up our bank account?
So back when I went full time, I was doing wholesale. So I get it shipped in, which was extremely expensive. And I think looking back now with the knowledge that I have now compared to then, I think I had a lot of products that I simply didn't know what they were. And I think that was the same when I would go outsourcing. I would pass on profitable inventory. And you say it all the time that we have to know what we're looking at. We
Mm-hmm.
cannot walk out of the thrift store without grabbing all the profitable things, and it takes time to build up that knowledge, and that's the hard part is you
Yeah.
have to sit there and you have to research. And every day I find new things or new keywords that just bring me that 1% up on the rest of the competition, and it will be a keyword maybe for a few months and it will be trending now, and as long as you're on it early enough and it's hot enough, you can make a lot of money off stuff that a lot of people just turn away. And it's that one single keyword that will turn a $5 item that will never ever sell
Mm-hmm.
into a $20 item for the next 2 months, and then it will be gone, done, never sell it ever again. And that's fine. But that was my hard, and that still is my hard because I am limited on what's there. So I cannot sleep on what is available. And I've had to find the nuances that are unique to my area, which um, is different because obviously there's a lot of Indigenous organizations here. So there's a lot of like Indigenous print uniforms, like the polo shirts, very unique to here, but highly desirable. I used to pass on them all day. They sell so fast.
Wow. And
Mm.
and so that turned into an advantage where at first you
Like,
saw it as a disadvantage. So, but we all have that. Like where I live, there's a bolo of a work uniform that is no longer in existence, and I find it all the time. It sells for $80, where I could have passed them and just, whatever it is, what it is. So we, in every single, difficult situation, there is kind of like that light at the end of the tunnel where we can lean into and then find that advantage. So yeah, 100% I'm with you. So I have a whole page of notes. This has been a great conversation thus far. All right. So with the two of you, you guys talk every day, accountability partners, things like that. And which one of you pushes the other harder? I think Hanley is more fired up about talking with Samantha because Samantha's very reserved. I'm sure she's very fired up and she could get rowdy. I've seen it. But I think that Hanley is more fired up with the accountability partner and finding a formidable foe who's in the same ballpark, doing the same things. How, Sam, how has Hanley lit a fire if she has? If she's not a formidable foe, say I plead the fifth, pass.
I don't know. I feel like every time I turn around, she's just there. Um, I didn't realize how you said this recently about getting community. So I was in the group for a really long period of time, and I didn't start joining the calls until October, November last year. Um, and that was one of the most pivotal things for me is having people hold the mirror up. So there's being accountability, just doing a post in the group and scooting on out in the day, but having this kind of conversation and then having someone like Hanley constantly there, it's like it's that niggle um is the best way to put it. It like I have to show up. I have to do it because if not, she'll be in my messages going, "Are you just not posting today?"
That's right. Are you just not posted today? That's right. And that will never happen as far as I'm concerned. Sam is always there, always on time. I look at all the posts every single day and I see Sam every single day, and that's one of the ones that I look forward to. So, Hanley, I think you've been pushed a lot by I'm gonna say it, by trying to keep up with Sam. I think you've been pushed a lot by trying to keep up with Sam. How has, I guess, having that accountability or having that playful banter, it obviously lights a fire for you. It does something for you.
So I think before I called Sam out, we'd not spoken that much. Like we'd had
Don't
one,
think at
I
all.
randomly just barged into her life and was like, I calling you out, we're doing this. And I think I admire her a lot and I saw how much she did. And I've realized that putting myself in uncomfortable situations where I'm maybe the dumbest in the room or maybe the least successful in the room is where my most growth came from. When I had to push harder to get to be in a conversation or I had to push harder to be at that level. And I've realized that being in my comfortable space wasn't going to get me where I wanted to go. And I saw Sam, who sticks out among the rest so much because of the accountability and because she's so steadfast. And I just kind of inserted myself into her life and was like, I want what you have, and therefore I'm going to follow you. And I'm not only going to follow you, I'm going to beat you there. And I'm going to hold that mirror up to you every day and make sure that I make this hard for you. Because she is so much further than me ahead. But I don't want easy. I want hard. I want to be pushed harder than I've ever been pushed. And luckily, she didn't just block me on Instagram because, like, she could have just been like, "Who is this crazy person?" And, and she was like ready to go. And that's been one of the biggest gifts. Is just insert yourself in a nice way into places where you want to be or with people who are where you are and be uncomfortable. This makes me so like this constant some days I'm like, why did I do this? Why could I not just have been happy with a good profitable business? But she's in my head, she's in my thoughts, she's in my business decisions, she's like, and then in conversation we can put that aside and have actual business conversations as well and work things out. And some of the things she said has led me, it's like taken me on these journeys where I've learned so much. And the biggest gift I've had in my business was inserting myself into conversations with you and Sam, who are so much further ahead of me, and forcing myself to catch up.
So for Sam, for a long time in the group, you just posted accountability, accountability, accountability. And we always heard, like I heard from Mel, like, oh, Sam crushes it. We hear from people in Australia, Sam crushes it. Like you crush it. You're very humble. like you said, the United States is the same size of Australia. Australia has the same amount of population as just the state of California. That's how it breaks down. Like if you were in the United States, you would be doing millions of dollars in sales with the same amount of grind, the same amount of tenacity. Like that, just to put it into perspective, you're doing over $500,000 a year in sales only to one state of California. So like that, just to put that into perspective. After all of this time, why did you pop your head up in the group and join a call?
That's a great question. Um, I felt like there was in the Aussie call in particular, there was a bit of a, I guess, a trend amongst the people in the old group, who thought that perhaps that it wasn't as possible to achieve things of such great nature like yourself and what people do in the US. And I'm by no stretch the biggest person in the Aussie group. There's multiple people who are doing much bigger numbers than me who also aren't present in the group. Like Tyler last week said
Tyler
that
does great, yeah.
yeah, he just hit the 100,000 in 90 days. Like that's massive numbers. And it, I guess I just felt the need to go, hey, you can do this too. But I also didn't realize the benefit I would get from doing that, where I was like, oh, wow, I am actually a lot further ahead than I thought I was. And it was having like people like Hanley mirror that back to me. Like I am like a fish out of water in that context because for years I just worked and I was just happy working. And that's where I thrive. And this is way outside my comfort zone. So that mirror back has been a massive learning curve and it's been very humbling.
I share the same exact thing as you. So I was content just getting my work done. I popped
Mm,
up to really show people that they can do it too. And
mm,
the amount of growth that I have had personally has been tenfold as well. And I think like the connection that you guys have made, like if you can monetarily put a price on it, the connection that you guys have made is going to result in millions of more dollars in sales for the both of you. Like no lie, no exaggeration. The connection that you two have made is going to result in millions of dollars of sales for the two of you. And I think that, utilizing it doesn't have to be the group. Go on Instagram, meet people locally, just start to get around people like-minded or above. I'm always a fan of playing above, and I think that comes from me growing up in sports. Like if you excel as a 13-year-old, they put you with 14 and 15-year-olds to level the playing field because then you'll get better. And I think that, within the group, we have people of all kinds of levels. And, we see this acceleration for the people that accept what we talk about. We see this acceleration so very quickly. And for Hanley, you haven't been doing this for an extremely long amount of time, and you have found great success. So I think that the community part, that is something for me that I discounted tremendous in my entire career. And I was a lone wolf. I took pride in being a lone wolf, but my business didn't explode until I started collaborating and networking and talking to other resellers. Versus, I'm just gonna be over here. I'm gonna be lone wolf. My mission is to seek and destroy, like just dominate and win by all means. I was able to do $1 million a year by myself, but when I started to actually talk to people, actually get part of a community, actually network with other resellers, my business increased to $5 million a year just by having like that camaraderie, just by having, that I found confidence in that too, because even though I was doing it at the level that I was still missing a little piece of confidence in like, am I really doing as good as I think I am? Because the whole reason why I listed 120 is because I thought everyone else was listing 100. And it wasn't until like I go, oh, wait a second. Like Sam said, like, wait a second. Like I am actually doing okay. Like, this is a good path. And I think that for Sam, especially, I think it's very, very helpful that other people do see it's possible. I think that is That's something fantastic. And I just want to thank you for coming on here because I know like you don't normally do stuff like this. You barely popped up in the group after so many years. And I know you were probably nervous and I know you're uncomfortable. So I do appreciate you being on, talking to everybody. And I think that the conversation was extremely helpful. I just want to thank both of you guys, like from the bottom of my heart. Like I've been looking forward to this conversation for weeks. Like this has been, in the plan for weeks. And I think that you guys make me better at what I do. I just want to help as many people as possible. And like for you two sitting here, you guys collectively are going to do $1 million together. We will revisit this conversation sometime down the line, and each of you will be doing $1 million. There is no doubt in my mind. And we're going to have, $2 million sellers here that, have really transformed their lives. And I just want to thank both of you guys. And, I look forward to your post every single day, Sam. I look forward to Hanley talking her talk every single day because she always got something good to say. And I ask Hanley all the time. I say, Hanley, are you rich today? And she always says, I'm richer than yesterday. And that's the name of the game because it's not monetarily richness. Hanley, Sam, you guys are richer every single day in all facets and aspects of life. So I just wanted to express my gratitude, both of you guys stepping outside of your comfort zone, putting yourself out there. This was, a heavy episode. But I just want to say thank you for you two. So if you guys have any final words, any parting words for the fine people that do listen, go for it. Let's go with Sam since you're a guest. You're a rookie.
The last thing I would say is that if you can take your weakness, so mine being the remote location, and turning it into what I now think is my superpower in terms of the acquisition of stock, that's where the sweet spot is.
I agree 110%. I have one more question. After the final thoughts, I do have one more question. Hanley, final thoughts for the fine folks.
Surround yourself with the right people. I wouldn't be where I am or grow as much as I have if I didn't surround myself with the right people like you and Sam. Being pushed and learning and the hunger for learning comes from being in the conversations, the right conversations. If you want to proceed in life and you want positive things for yourself, make sure that that's what you fill your time with.
I agree with that too. So, all right, final question. This competition between Hanley and Sam is not a competition strictly between Hanley and Sam. There's a
Oh,
couple other players in the competition.
there's
One
no
of
way.
them, one of the most vocal is Tom. Tom is a very large seller in Australia. He has over 100,000 items listed. He does great business, great work. Tom's not even here to defend himself. I want to extend the branch to Tom, and I want to talk to Tom on the podcast coming up. You two in this competition, what do you have to say about Tom? Sam.
Oh, I actually thought we were going to get through the whole conversation without his name coming up. I was very excited. I think that Tom is all bark and no bite.
All
So
bark, no bite.
he has gone out and said that he will be able to beat myself, Hanley, and Mel collectively by his own percentage. And I'm here for it. If he can do that, like kudos to him. But I'm also very excited to see his face when he discovers that we've all beaten him.
So not only did he say he could beat Hanley, Sam, and Mel in best percentage growth, he said he only needs 6 months to do it. He hasn't even started yet. He hasn't even gotten started in the competition. He's giving you guys a head start. He's playing with a handicap. Hanley, how do you feel about our buddy Tom?
He hasn't even cracked listing every day yet. So like he's still in that day to day trying to get his consistency straight. I'm not like
So,
irrelevant.
so Tom is not a serious contender in this competition.
No, Tom is like the cheerleader at the side of the field that gets people fired up while the actual people are playing. That's
Okay.
Tom.
Since Tom is the cheerleader and he's acting as someone to give you guys fired up, and do you think Tom even wants to win this competition? Or, as my son would say, is that cap? Does Tom even want to win this competition?
I think he does.
He
I think in
does.
other parts he does. I think he's a highly competitive person.
So, Tom, they let you off light.
I think Tom likes the thought of being in the competition and the banter more than the actual competition.
So,
I think Tom is entertainment value.
entertainment value for this. Okay, so Tom is a lot more aggressive on the smack talk than you guys.
Oh,
And the first time that he was talking smack, I was like, hey, you might want to pump the brakes. You're getting yourself over your head. Sam and Hanley are monsters. Pump the brakes. He ran right through the stop sign all the way. And you guys listened to the recording, and both of you guys were fired up. And I I want to talk to Tom. I want to get him on the podcast. And you know what's going to happen? Tom's coming on here and he's talking smack, and we're going to have to come see you guys again for the rebuttal. That's what's going to happen. You guys let Tom off easy. I'm a little disappointed you guys let Tom off so easy, but I understand. I get it. So, all right.
out of respect for you, I'm reserved.
Oh, you don't have to respect me.
You should hear some of the starts of some of the calls Tom do. All you hear in the first 5 minutes of these recordings is me going off at him.
Yeah, it's tremendous. It's all fun. So in the group, it's fun. It's competitive. We have a great community, and the community wouldn't be anything without the two of you. So once again, thank you very much, both of you guys, for being on here. I think it was a great conversation. I think it comes from two great people, and I couldn't be more prouder than anybody aside from you two. And your two success is very important to me, as is everybody. And I'm glad you guys are doing well, and I just want to continue to keep seeing the both of you guys do well. So thank you very much for joining us today and spending your time with us. And, we'll get you back on. And I want both of you guys. All right. What is the ultimate goal for the two of you? Sam, ultimate goal,
Like the long, long term.
whatever it is. What are you
Um,
working for every day?
I would like a property portfolio that generates $3 million gross per year cash flow. So that's like the North Star. If I fall short of that, that's okay. But anywhere that I fall short of that, then I can still live a beautiful life.
That is what I'm talking about. 3 million a year free cash
That's
flow.
enormous. Yeah,
Ooh.
it's an enormous goal, and if I only ever achieve like 500,000,
Yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
still good. Wow, that's what I'm talking about. We got to come back and talk about that, Sam.
But
Hanley.
if I move at that level, then
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you move with the mentality and the mind state of someone who wants $3 million a year of free cash flow, just to give someone an idea, like we're probably talking like over $100 million of real estate here.
yeah,
Oh,
easy.
that's what we're talking about. Hanley, what's the ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal is to beat Sam. So apparently I need to do like 6 million in real estate revenue a year now.
Yeah, you need to have like $250 million in real estate for that.
No, my goals are about more um relaxed than that. Just because I think ultimate goal for me and my husband, it's our vision and our goal is to have that passive income and that portfolio set up. So we can go out and love the traveling and the dream like you've done. Like that end of life 50-year holiday is our goal. And in order to do that, I need to work really hard in this season of my life, build that portfolio like Sam. Um, but that's our end goal.
I'm with it. I subscribe to both of those. Once we all get tens of millions of dollars of real estate, Hanley and Sam, I want to start talking real estate. That would be beautiful.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Hanley. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate you guys for jumping on. As always, be great. Thank you.